Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be tracking a multi-day severe weather event that's been going on across a good chunk of the country here, pretty much just across the south here, including some of these places up here as well. And this is going to be over a couple days. Wednesday is looking to be the big day, where we could see the potential for some long track, possibly strong tornadoes going on across portions of Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, maybe into portions of Louisiana and Tennessee as well. So we'll be getting into that, but let's first take a look into the SPC outlook here. So this is for the rest of tonight. We got a marginal risk for severe weather across portions of Missouri. There was actually some tornado warnings and across portions of Kansas City, and I've also heard there was even a couple tornadoes up there as well, which is quite interesting there. We also got a marginal risk for severe weather across portions of Alabama and also Mississippi. Prior threats, there is a small tornado threat, but that should be starting to die down. Damage winds and also some hail. So basically, all your hazards are there. So it's going to be a low end threat for all of them. This is day two, which is tomorrow. We got two different slight risk areas. We got one across south central Texas. You got another one across northwestern Oklahoma and also southern Kansas. And you got a large marginal risk for severe weather, really anywhere from central Texas, western Oklahoma, and southern or central Kansas, all the way down into south central Georgia. So it's going to be a pretty large risk area. You can see there, pretty large tornado risk area, but it should stay pretty low end, which is the good news there. David Woods is there, and also for some hail as well. So the better chance for severe weather is really in the slight risk regions, which is for northwestern Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and also for south central Texas. Here's the big day. We got a large enhanced risk for severe weather really across anywhere from most of Alabama through central and northern Mississippi, eastern Arkansas, southwestern Tennessee, and also for northeastern Louisiana. And here's your probabilities. You see that hatch area. Those are areas that can see some significant severe weather. We're talking about large hail, damaging winds, possibility for some strong long track tornadoes as well for areas in the hatched region. Then into day four, which is Thursday, we got a 50% slight risk across portions of the Carolinas, Georgia, the Florida Panhandle, and also for southern Virginia as well. And all hazards are also possible on that day as well. So let's take a look into the 18Z NAM as we kind of get into Tuesday. You got some showers of thunderstorm activity across the south. And then here comes your low right here. This will be coming out of New Mexico and also Colorado. And this is going to be a deepening low as it moves to the east. And as we kind of get into early Wednesday morning, we got a line of possibly strong to maybe some severe thunderstorms rolling into central Oklahoma and eventually down and across portions of Texas. Now, some of these will be in shower form, but there may be a chance some of these could be strong to severe, as well. And these storms will be moving to the east here, but they'll be dying down in the morning. But watch for this zone here because storms will be starting to let up even early in the morning across portions of Louisiana and Arkansas. Storms will be firing up really early in the day. We're talking about in the morning hours. So this is kind of getting into afternoon here. Take that off. You can see here we do have some scattered showers and thunderstorms here. Some of these could be supercells going on across portions of eastern Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. You got your warm front right here. You also got your cold front right here. And your triple point is really up here. But the main focus of severe weather is going to be somewhere down here. And as we kind of continue to move on with this, you see here it doesn't really show a whole lot of supercell activity. But looks like some could fire up later in the day on Wednesday. More focus across Mississippi and Alabama. You may have a squall line of possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms along the cold front. That's going to be moving to the east here into the overnight hours. And then that kind of gets out of the picture there at that point. So let's take a look at the high res now. And as you can see here, as we kind of get into late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. We got a line of possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms across northwestern uh, Oklahoma and also for portions of southern Kansas. Here's another cluster of thunderstorms going on across portions of southern Texas there. And these are going to be moving on to the east and then they'll start to die down. But like I said, when we get into the morning hours, into the early afternoon, storms will start to fire up across portions of Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. And some of those could be supercells. As you can see here at this point here, you got a couple supercells here and there. It seems like some models really backing off of how many supercells there could be out there. But keep in mind, this is just a simulation, and it could be worse or it could be better than what it looks at that point there. Probably the main uncertainty with this here is all of this widespread shower activity here. That could keep the instability down, make this air more stable, and that could decrease your chances for some severe weather. But when we kind of get into Mississippi and Alabama, they have a lot of time for daytime heating. You can see there, they had showers, maybe some thunderstorms mixed in early in the morning into early afternoon, and they're mostly clear or mostly shower thunderstorm free. So as we kind of get to later in the day to the evening hours, you can see here more thunderstorms starts to blow up across those places, across Mississippi, Alabama. You also do notice some thunderstorms activity across southern Missouri and northern Arkansas. That could be what we call a cold core setup here, and all hazards are possible up there as well. So we're going to keep an eye on over a pretty large region here. And then as we kind of get into uh, really late Wednesday into early Thursday morning, you got a squall line of thunderstorms going on across northern Alabama and southern Tennessee, along with some scattered shower thunderstorm activity as you kind of get down closer to the Gulf Coast. Here's the HER model. So this is a brand new model run, and I've just kind of looked into this. And you can see here, what I'm talking about early in the morning, it actually shows a pretty good thunderstorm there. That could actually be a supercell racing to the northeast, eventually getting into southern Arkansas. I don't know how accurate that's going to be, but that's what it shows. Then you get some new thunderstorms to develop. Like I said early in the morning, this is 10Z, so this is into the morning hours of Wednesday, and you got some thunderstorms already ongoing, and some of those could be all hazards. Damage winds, large hail, possibility for some tornadoes in the morning. Then as we kind of get later in the day here, so this is getting early in the morning, possibility for some pretty much along that front, maybe possibility for some damaging winds, maybe some tornadoes mixed in into some of those places, but I don't know how accurate that's going to be. I think the primary threat in here will probably be pretty low end. I mean, all hazards are possible, kind of along the cold front, maybe an isolated tornado here and there, but I think it's going to stay pretty low end along that warm front. But it even shows a squall line of thunderstorms really going on across eastern Texas, western Louisiana. And then here we go here, where an area that's not been worked up all day long, you start to see some supercells develop across Mississippi, Alabama. So it seems like at this point here, the severe weather may focus area maybe more across Mississippi, Alabama, maybe into portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, even though it's trending slower. It's really because showers of storms have been really working up the area in the morning hours, so that's keeping the air more stable. But we'll see if the atmosphere will be able to recharge because eventually those showers of thunderstorms will start to move out, and we're going to see if new thunderstorms do develop. So there's some uncertainty with this setup here, especially across Arkansas, Louisiana. But it seems like most of the balls so far still show some supercell activity across Mississippi, Alabama as well. And then this is the max end of the run here. You still got some possibly some supercells all going, but you also got a cluster of thunderstorms there as well that could produce all hazards and even leads all the way up into central Missouri. So this is gonna be something we're gonna watch here pretty closely here. It's just been trending slower since the last time I made this video, really. And this is the high-risk dam, and you can see here. So this is the superset composite. So this is a combination of cape and wood shear. And you can see here, those numbers are pretty high. And across portions of Texas, we'll get a sounding there and see what it looks like if it's going to load here. Here, we'll wait for that to load. Oh, there we go. Now it's loaded. So there is a little bit of a cap going on here at around 850 millibars. But look all this cape you got to work with. I mean, at least 2100 cape. You got quite a bit of lap rates to work with. Tons of wind shear. I mean, that's a lot of wind shear, especially your storm wind to Felicity numbers are very high. Um, Critical angle number 62. You also got a pretty good holograph, so this is a pretty good sounding, if I have to say the least here. And you can see some analogs do show some large hail mixed in, which I don't doubt that at all, really. And then as we continue on, you can see your superset composite numbers do start to rise as we get into northern Louisiana and southern Arkansas. And this is just in the morning. Just in the morning. So this severe weather threat is going to be going on all day long. It's just not, your typical, late afternoon, early evening threat. This is going to be going on all day long, from the morning hours to the overnight hours, and it can lead to the next day with just non-stop severe weather. So this is going to be going on for a while for some of these areas here. So on this one here, it's worse on the other one. I mean, the Cape numbers are lower. Some of the lap rates are not that great, especially the low levels. That could bring out the tornado threat if you're going to have low lap rates numbers near the surface. That's going to bring down the tornado threat just a little bit. But you also got a good holograph here going on. Critical angle number 62. Plenty of storm relative Felicity. There's going to be a lot of it around some of these places here. And there's also a decent amount of wind shear. So this is another decent sounding here. But it will get better as we kind of get into a little bit more of that daytime heating. And you can see here how it just spreads out. I mean, look across northern Arkansas. We'll get a sounding out of there. See what it looks like. And you can also see here while we kind of wait for that to load, you can see how large this area is. I mean, it covers southwestern Tennessee, nearly all of Arkansas, southwestern Missouri, most of Louisiana, all of Mississippi to portions of Alabama. Is in a pretty decent environment for supercells, and higher the number, the more favorable environment is for supercells. That's basically what it means. And you can see here, you got a pretty decent curve going on out here, which of course this thing is blocking here. Here we go. And you can see here, you got a pretty good holograph there, decently large curve going on there. Let's see here. You got pretty good cape numbers. I mean, at the surface, I mean, nearly getting close to 2,700. That's pretty high for this time of year for that cape number to be that high. You got good lap rates, plenty wind shear to work with as well. So this deserves a check mark. I mean, this is favorable for really all the hazards and the possibility for a strong tornado as well. And also your dew points are getting into the mid to upper 60s of some of these places as well. As we kind of get to later in the day here, we'll get a sounding kind of along the Alabama-Mississippi border here. And now this is getting to the overnight hours, so this is 3Z, so this is getting about around midnight in Eastern time zone. So this is going to be an overnight threat for some people here, and that's going to be a big concern because a lot of people are going to be asleep, in the overnight hours. So you got the severe weather going on, and most tornado deaths in a day happens overnight, so that's going to be a bad thing here. So unfortunately, this is going to be overnight hours, and when people storm chase, you can't really see anything in the dark. The only way you can see it is by power flashes, stuff like that, and also lightning as well. So your big time severe weather threat will go into the overnight hours as well. and there's a lot of wind shear to work with. Pretty good cape numbers. I mean, this is a high wind shear, high cape environment, and with that large photograph, that indicates the possibility for some large tornadoes, possibly. And keep in mind, it's just a possibility. It's just not a guaranteed. But the potential is there for strong long track tornadoes. Now, I won't say they may be violent, but at least strong long track tornadoes is a pretty decent bet. And it's just a possibility here as well. And you can see here how it just continues into the middle of the night here. This is getting like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you still got a really good environment for severe weather across portions of Alabama and Mississippi. So this is going to be going on for a while. And this is the NAM for the superset composite. And since it's not as high res, it's not going to show higher numbers like the high res NAM was showing. But you can see here, as we kind of get into the mid-afternoon, the focus is really across eastern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, most of Arkansas, and even most of Louisiana. So this is just going to be a very large area. You got a good holograph, pretty good cape numbers. There's a lot of wind shear to work with, and it's pretty much nearly the same of all the models here. I mean, high cape, high shear, large curves on the hodographs, even some medium curves, and also for some decent lap rates as well. You also can see here, one thing to note here is the winds are not that strong going on here. And what that kind of tells me here is if you're going to have weaker winds here, somewhere around 700 millibars, 850 millibars, that's just going to make the curves larger on these photographs. And that's not good here. That's not a good thing. So that's going to be kind of an unfortunate deal here. And then again, as you kind of get to the overnight hours, so this is non-Z, so this is kind of getting into the morning hours, and you still got severe weather going on across portions of Alabama. I mean, this is just going to be completely an overnight threat for Alabama, which is not good. You got storm rate to validity numbers very high, good amount of wind shear, still pretty good cape. I mean, for the overnight hours, you still got 1,000 plus joules per kilogram cape, which is kind of insane. For that to continue to overnight hours. One good side is your lap rate numbers are going to be going down into the overnight hours, but you also still got a large curve on the hodograph, so the tornado threat will still be sticking around into the overnight hours. So this could be a rough time period for some people out there. Let's look to the high-risk dam with the significant tornado parameters, and really from this thing here, really over a 1 on the scale here, you really got a tornado threat pretty much here. And when you get into, +2, you got pretty good tornado threat, +3, +4, then +5, and then +6. Then you get a pretty good tornado threat going on here. So as we kind of go on here, you got some pretty good numbers out here. So we'll do a couple more soundings here. So this is in South Central Arkansas, and this thing is in the way. This is a little bit glitchy here. So you got a pretty decent holograph there. It's a little small, but it's still a decent holograph. Nevertheless, critical angle number 61. That's decently high. You got a good amount of cape as well. Decent amount of wind shear, so relative velocity numbers are up there. There's a good amount of lap rates, although it's 6.3 near the surface. That's kind of going to bring that tornado threat just a little bit there as well. So really, overall, this is a pretty decent holograph for South Central Arkansas. And you can see here how these numbers are just pretty decently high. And especially as you get into the overnight hours, you still got pretty good numbers really across Alabama and portions of Mississippi. And even got some numbers going on across portions of southern Illinois, southwestern Kentucky, and portions of Tennessee. Still got some decent numbers up there as well. And here's the NAM here. You can see over your significant tornado parameters. Yeah, we probably had to watch for several Arkansas and northern Louisiana at least earlier in the day, but then as we kind of get later today into the overnight hours. Then it shifts to two portions of Mississippi, Alabama. So this is definitely still to watch here. Then as you kind of get to day 4, which is Thursday, your severe weather threat does push you to portions of the Carolinas, Georgia, portions of Virginia, as well, and even for portions of northern Florida. So this is a sounding out in southeastern Georgia, and you can see here, uh, you still got good Cape numbers. There's upper 60 dew points, which is pretty favorable for some thunderstorms. You got a pretty decent hodograph going on here. Crackling on number 51. Decent amount of wind shear going on here. Lap rates is pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie, the lap rates are pretty weak, and that's probably gonna be the only limiting factor here. As we kind of get into Thursday, it's going to be those lap rates uh, there as well. So, but it's still a decent hodograph there. Let's go into portions of North Carolina. Again, same thing here. At least for lap rates wise. Also, the numbers are lower. And this kind of tells me this is probably going to be a little bit more of a slight risk day. There may be a chance for a enhanced risk upgrade, but just by looking at this here, this is probably just going to be staying as a slight risk for now, at least in my opinion. But there's the chances there it's going to be enhanced risk upgrade, and that's probably going to be the max for Thursday. And really, I think the better chance for severe weather at this time period, it's really going to be for portions of the Carolinas, southeastern Georgia, and probably into southeastern Virginia as well. Probably has the better chance of seeing some severe weather. And for some of these people, again, it's going to be overnight threat, which is not going to be a good thing either. So this is my forecast for mainly for Wednesday here. So I got a moderate risk for severe weather, and I'm probably going to have to change this a little bit since I made this earlier today. But I do have a moderate risk for severe weather anywhere from central Arkansas through northern Mississippi into west central Alabama. I had to probably expand this a little bit further to the south. So since we're starting to see some better numbers going on out in this zone in here, so may have to expand it out there. But then you also got enhanced risk of severe weather anywhere from really for most of Arkansas, northeast of Louisiana, south central Mississippi, into most of Alabama, even includes uh, southwestern Tennessee as well. Then you got a large slight risk area for southeastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, eastern Texas, most of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, into portions of the Panhandle of Florida, west central Tennessee, and also for southern Missouri, and also for far southwestern Kentucky in that slight risk zone. And then you got the marginal risk area, pretty much for some of the similar regions that I've already called already. Now you guys may be asking, why do I have a sharp cutoff out here? Well, it's pretty much due to the timing because when it reaches to Georgia, it's going to be transitioning over to day 4. So for the time frame for day 3, it's really from 7, well, technically from the SPC, it's 8 a.m. for Wednesday, pretty much to 8 a.m. Thursday. So that's the time frame here. And then, for day 4, that's going to be 8 a.m. Thursday into 8 a.m. Friday, pretty much. So that's just basically the reason why there's a sharp cutoff there. I'll probably just put a slight risk out there somewhere into portions of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And there may be an enhanced risk getting included there, but we'll see about that uh, for sure. And things can possibly change as well. And here's the severe weather ingredients list. And you can see here you got 4 different categories in a really good category, which is the max that I can put it at. And again, mid-level lap rates on May, it's going to be good in some areas, and then when you get to the overnight hours, the lap rates numbers will go down a little bit, so that's probably going to be a limiting factor, at least when you get to the overnight hours into Alabama. But when you in the early morning, well, not early morning, but the morning hours into early afternoon where it's focused across Arkansas, Louisiana, portions of Texas, and Oklahoma. There's going to be some good lap rates out there, so that's going to support your hail threat. Also, it's going to have some stronger updrafts, and then you also got your helicity numbers. It's going to be up there as well, so you'll have updraft helicity going on out there, which be from supercells, and those can produce some possibility for some strong tornadoes out there. Holdographi's really good. We got large curves nearly everywhere. So that's going to support your tornado threat. Cape is also looking to be pretty good. There will be a good amount of wind shear out there. Dew points would be pretty good, mid to upper 60s. 500 millibar winds. There are going to be tons of divergence out there, so it's going to be really good to go. Plus, with some moderate winds and 850 millibars, there will also be some moderate winds out there as well. So that's going to be in the good zone as well. So there's not a whole lot of limiting factors except for the really for the lap rates, at least in the low levels for the tornado threat as it kind of gets into Alabama and Georgia and really into Thursday. But again, these things can change. But anyways, guys, that's all for guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you already do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.